Hey, we're back with another episode of Teeing Off, the Chicagoland area's local golf podcast. This is John Borneman here with Matt Harness. What's going on, Matt?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for hosting me in the Freedom Center. I feel like I might have to deliver some papers on the way out.
Yeah, that's right. We are taping today. You might hear an echo in the bunker known as the Freedom Center at 777 West Chicago Avenue here in the city.
Well, we should feel very safe if there's any sort of inclement weather or attack.
This is where we at Pioneer Press do our daily work. I wish you guys could see this place because it is, bunker is really the only way to describe it. We've got the cinder block walls. They painted one of them yellow, I guess, for the illusion of sunshine because there are no windows. Every day I come in here and I know that the world exists because I have just left it to come inside, but when I get back outside at the end of the day, it's always kind of a crapshoot as to whether there was a nuclear holocaust or something that has laid waste to everything around me, because I don't think I would know if that happened.
It certainly has that feel, but maybe next week we'll get somewhere a little more welcoming.
Well, perhaps return to the full shilling or a driving range somewhere.
If we do make the trip to Benton Harbor, Michigan, maybe we'll do it on the in the clubhouse of Harbor Shores
as a possibility for a media event ahead of the Champions Tour event, right?
I believe it's a senior PGA championship coming next, maybe 2016, 2018 at Harbor Shores, which is when I Googled it, about an hour and a half drive from the Loop.
Yeah,
so
not too bad.
It takes an hour and a half to get to Glenview.
Certainly within range, yeah. I think we have a pretty good show for today, a pretty good podcast with a lot of stuff to get to, some golf headlines. With the Masters having started, I think now it really feels like the golf season has accelerated, and there's news stacking up. And then later on, we have pre-recorded a interview with Nick Hardy, freshman on the number 3 ranked Illinois men's golf team. Of course, Nick from Northbrook went to Glenbrook North, and he'll be playing with the Illini at this weekend's Big Ten Championship. So we had a good talk with Nick. I'm looking forward to playing that.
His dad, John Hardy, is a big friend of the podcast.
Perhaps, based on the social media metrics, maybe one of our only friends. But he's pretty active. Always likes when the podcast is coming out, and we do appreciate that from him. He's actually pretty funny on Twitter himself.
Oh yeah, he's in
a dad jokey kind of way. So.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But you mentioned the golf headlines, and I think this is something new we want to do just to kind of get bring some national flavor to a local podcast. And one of the things we were talking about was Jim Furyk ended a relatively long drought.
100 starts.
100 starts at 2000.
For a guy who, generally speaking, until this 100 streak, would win once a year, more or less, I think.
And he had been knocking on the door quite a bit. He'd kind of been starting to get known for his failures to close out a tournament on Sunday. If you remember in 2013 at the BMW Championship, he shoots 59 and loses a tournament, which I imagine is hard to do. It
doesn't
13, 12 strokes.
Yeah.
And I think that day he was remarkably better than his next closest player. But anyway, so he gets it done in a 2-hole playoff.
The RBC Heritage.
Yeah, at Hilton Head. It's a short drive up from Augusta.
Kevin Kisner?
Which Kisner
was a player? Okay.
Yeah, he's a PGA Tour player. In fact, he's a South Carolina native. So
there you go.
Furyk doesn't endear himself to the South Carolinians by knocking off the local boy. But afterwards, Furyk, in his interview, had a quote that we've been, batting back and forth. And if you want to read the quote.
I actually have it. Yeah, I have it. He said, but I was starting to feel like this game is beating me up, and the losing hurts a lot more than winning feels good. And this is in his post-round presser. That's what he says, that he thought the losing hurt more than the winning feels good. And this is just a general feeling that he's had over the last couple of years. And Matt, I know you had some strong reactions. At least you texted me after you saw that tweet from the esteemed golf writer Doug Ferguson of the AP. You had some reactions to that.
Yeah, I just find it to be pretty sour outlook on life in general, where when we also asked Nick Hardy about this, and he should know. He knows way more about that feeling than either the two of us winning.
Right. Oh yeah.
A big tournament. So we'll get to that later. But I just, on the surface, I just doesn't seem like a fun guy to be around.
Well, yes, I agree that I don't know that Jim Furyk is like party central all the time. He's probably not that fun of a guy to be around. But I don't know that it's not. That's not a feeling that a lot of high level athletes and competitors feel. Whether they would vocalize it immediately after winning is another thing. But I was trying to think in the last couple of days. What do you think sticks with a guy like in his prime Tiger longer? When he would win a major, or a time when he would come to a course and not play that well. I mean,
yeah,
Tiger didn't have a lot of experience with excruciating collapses, when he was playing well. And
I don't think he had maybe one or two.
He got chased down by Y.E. Yang the one time.
Yeah, and I thought there was one other player, but yeah, I think it's probably fair. I mean, Furyk, clearly is in his job is different than everybody else, and like you said, professional athletes probably think about things a little differently, and that's how that motivates them. If the losing hurts, then it propels you to want to win.
Nick Saban at Alabama. I mean, how long do you think he relishes a national championship? Probably about 45 minutes, I'd say, and then he's probably watching tape again, or or berating an assistant. Like it's those guys. I don't think they get as much pleasure out of winning as you feel like you probably would. Now, like you said, I don't think that many guys say that after winning a championship, winning a tournament. So
yeah, that's probably true.
Maybe that's a look at the character, or what his makeup is like. That he's willing to. That's what he wants to talk about after winning. Is like how much all the losing sucked. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that that's necessarily that rare of a opinion.
It could, yeah. That might be true. And the win started the conversation if Jim Furyk is Hall of Fame worthy.
Right.
So I was looking it up, and the World Golf Hall of Fame criteria, he meets it.
Right, which is you have to have 15 wins on like the combination of like the PGA Tour, the European Tour, and there's a couple of other international tours that would count on. He has 17, right? 17. And you need 15 or two majors, and one of the majors they count, I think, is the Players' It's not a major, but they count the Players' Championship. So two of those. So he has the one major, the U.S. Open, which was right in Chicago, Olympia Fields.
And he won the Player of the Year in 2010. Right. He was a FedEx Cup winner.
Was that the last time he had won prior to last weekend?
I think so. Yeah.
He had 3 wins in 2010, including the Tour Championship. I think, unless I'm just making things up.
And 9 Ryder Cups.
Right, 9 Ryder Cups, 2 winning Ryder Cups, which is.
But with
a problem that all Americans who have been on the Ryder Cup face. 14 other. I counted up 14 other top 5s in majors. So
speaking, the depths of the fields are pretty incredible. Since I don't know when I would put it, maybe 2005. Anybody, especially this year, it just seems like anybody can win. So for a guy to be on 9 Ryder Cups, it speaks of consistency. 17 wins, U.S. Open, like you mentioned, just a bunch of other top 5s and majors. As much as I'm not a fan of Jim Furyk's,
right.
I think he's deserving of the Hall of Fame.
Well, I was looking at some of the other guys who were in the tournament. I think I would have come down and agree with you. As maybe I might argue that golf probably admits too many people into the Hall of Fame.
Well, that's the argument. But you can't. Fred Couples.
Right, and that's what I was just going to get to. I think by the way that the way that the parameters are set, he definitely qualifies and probably should be in. I would probably come out down on that side now. And you mentioned Fred Couples, and I pulled up his stats because I thought he was probably the closest comparison to Furyk. If you looked at if you just did a blind test, you said you took the names off the two guys and looked at their records. Couples has 14 PGA Tour wins. He qualifies for the Hall of Fame by virtue of his 1 Masters and his Players Championship, and he appeared in 5 Ryder Cups. Now, so you could look at that and you could say that Jim Furyk has a better, has as good of a resume at least. He has, the one thing he's lacking is he doesn't have the Players Championship, which would be, so they both have 1 major. But Couples through no fault of his own never won the FedEx because it didn't exist. But that
he did have injury issues throughout his career, which limited his events. But you mentioned one thing that Jim Furyk might lack, that Players Championship. But I think a big thing you take away the numbers, and he kind of lacks that charisma, that it factor of a guy that if you go into a Hall of Fame, I'm not sure 20 years from now people are going to be like, wow, it was really fun to watch Jim Furyk play. People remember Fred Couples. He passes that sort of eyeball test of, that's a guy that, for whatever reason, he had that it factor. People will go to the Hall of Fame and be like, wow, I enjoyed watching him on TV. When I went to a tournament, he was a guy I wanted to see play.
Even now.
Now, and that doesn't necessarily qualify you for the Hall of Fame, but at the same time, there has to be something, about, beyond just playing good golf.
Right.
But again, I do think Jim Furyk.
Jim Furyk is not fun to watch play golf. I
followed
him for 9 holes at that, and that 59.
He had 2 birthdays.
Let's just say the least exciting thing a golfer can do is back off a shot, and Jim Furyk has that built into his pre-shot routine.
Backing off a shot.
In his putts, he backs off every putt.
Yeah.
It's part of his routine. That's horrible.
It is. It's excruciating.
And he's he is the consummate workman pro. I think he's a guy.
And he's a nice guy. I've met him multiple times. Very cordial guy. There's probably a guy that you would want as a friend. I'm sure he's dependable. And it's just as a professional athlete, he's boring.
Right. And that's obviously not none of this is a personal.
No, not at all. I would
just as a golfer, he's not fun to watch. I just don't. It's hard to watch some of those rounds where he's backing off a shot several times and playing pretty slowly.
And the irony with his slow play is a couple of years ago he was sponsored by 5 Hour Energy.
Is he not still?
Well, I think the company went out of business, given that people watched Jim Furyk and said, this clearly is not working.
Yeah.
He bankrupted an energy drink company. But let's move on here. We have the Zurich Classic going on right now, but
which Boo Weekly is winning currently. I think it was in a range.
Talk about a character. This is a guy that he may win 2 times. He has a couple of wins on tour, but
wasn't he on a Ryder Cup team?
He might have been.
Dark days for the American Ryder Cup teams.
Gosh, you get Boo Weekly, Bubba Watson, J.B. Holmes on a team. I'm not sure that some of these guys have passports. They can only play on American soil. Yeah. But Boo Weekly, I met him a long time ago.
Played in the Ryder Cup, and he did the bull ride after his shots.
Yeah. No, he's great. Jason Sobel, after his round today, said he's off to wrestle some gators.
Right. Now, we're of course recording this on Thursday afternoon, so it's quite possible that by the time this is posted Friday morning, Boo could have shot 90. I don't know whether he'll be on the course or not. But
Boo Weekly, whatever he does, he will. I do not think he's in the top 64 in the world. We might have to look at that up. But what I was getting to was next week is another World Golf Championship event, the Match Play, which I think of all the World Golf Championship events has the most promise, yet has the most mixed bag of results, because TV, I think, hates it, because if you have a star lose in the first round, he's gone. Where on a regular PGA Tour event, at least you have this person for 2 days, and most likely through the weekend. Making the cut is much easier than surviving all these rounds of match play. But I think it's a refreshing format. Mix in. In fact, I would like to see maybe more of it. Events like this where it mixes it up a bit, and they've even changed the format this year. They've recognized that it's not working, so they're going to a new format this year where they divide 16. There's 64 players in it. They divide 16 into 4 groups. They each play. Is that right? No.
Yeah. No.
Excuse me. 16 4-player groups.
Right.
And each player plays one another, which I think this is a TV thing where they get 3 matches.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have 3 rounds. I think that I'm looking forward to it.
It's I've always enjoyed the match play as well because I enjoy watching all the different golfers, and I probably pay a little more attention than the casual fan. So we talked about why is match play more popular, and as you said, it's money. The TV people don't want to possibly pay for several to have to air several days of people that golfers that people don't generally care about. Boo Weekley probably won't be among them, given that he's 153 in the world ranking.
Yeah, he's out.
So yeah, but yeah, I like the new format.
It's kind of a World Cup type format where you have the pods and you have to advance out of that.
Right, the best record of the round robin will then go to the round of 16.
Right, so that looks like that will be said Saturday morning, followed by the quarterfinal Saturday afternoon, and then semifinals and championship on Sunday. So the weekend, if you're playing the weekend, you're going to be pretty busy.
Yeah.
Now, if you're Nick Hardy, as we might, if you listen, Nick Hardy likes to beat guys in match play by about the 13th hole. So he saves his.
Matt refers to the Big Ten championships this spring where Nick beats a Michigan opponent 8-7, I believe, which is about as bad as you'll see. But he gets hot. He made 5 birdies. I mean, there's not a lot you can do if you're even just playing average golf. You're going to get run over in that situation.
So the match play is unique in that you're just playing that one player. I mean, you could lose a match that you shot 63 if your opponent shoots. Frankly, I mean, your opponent might even be able to match your score that match we had. I mean, I was one shot better, but in match play, I was several holes better.
Matt and I always play match play because I'm always going to make an 8 or a 10 on set sometime, and so it works better for me. But, I mean, there have been occasions in which the guy who wins the match would lose score-wise.
Right.
Certainly.
But you can make a big number.
Right.
And
it lets you get away with that.
But the other thing I like about this year's match play is it's going to be at Harding Park in San Francisco. It's in the city, in which for the early rounds, I believe they'll be in prime time, which I think is great. I love watching prime time golf.
It's an interesting course. I was reading up on it. So it's built in 1925, and you read the bio that they even have online, and it sort of reads like an True Hollywood story. Like it came in and started hosting tournaments, and then fell on some hard times. I think the line that it was actually in the bio said the course reached its lowest point in 1998 when it was used as a parking lot during the U.S. Open at Olympic Club.
Wow.
So that's the downswing, addicted to drugs and all that stuff, and then now the triumphant return to high level golf for a World Golf Championship. And I mean, Tiger won there in 2005, the World Golf Championship, American Express Championship, I think is what it was called. It seems to be back on the right track. Certainly no longer a parking lot. It's no one's parking lot anymore.
Well, I was joking with your podcast favorite Frenchman Victor Dubuisson, who gave us endless hours of entertainment. When it was in Arizona, the guy hits it behind every cactus.
If you missed last year's match play championship, I mean, you missed out. It was Jason Day versus Dubuisson,
who I don't think anybody had heard of him outside of his family.
He ended up making the Ryder Cup team.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure his family did know that he was a touring pro. That might have been like his first big coming out to them, but
I mean, he sounds like a pastry chef.
To us, I mean, he was so fun to watch. He's slashing it all over the place, hitting it out of cacti, making pars. I mean, Jason Day's sitting there shaking his head laughing. That's the kind of stuff you get in match play when it's two guys just staring at each other, and you don't have to worry about the ramifications of the score on the next hole.
Do you think he's going to bring his 14th club as a cactus?
I mean, yeah, we've talked about the fact that, I don't know if there's, I know you can't build a stance or improve your lie, but I don't know if the rules of golf expressly prohibit you making your lie worse. Putting a cactus in front of it, or
it was incredible. I wish I could remember the exact shot he hit from. He was deep in the desert behind a cactus.
And this is happening at least partially in extra holes, I believe.
Yeah.
Because we were several times we were like, well, that's it. That tournament's going to be over because Duboison's 50 feet into the desert and he's 3 feet off the ground in a cactus.
It was very semi-Ballesteros like,
yeah.
But that's what you get with match play. That's, I think, what makes it fun. Players try, shots that they probably wouldn't, because after the hole is over, it's over. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you make 11 and lose or make a 5 and
right,
lose.
and you can see exactly what you need to do because your opponent is across the fairway from you. So
we'll see. I hope it works. I would hate to see this go off the schedule. It's a nice break from, after a while, stroke play can get redundant and, lack some drama. But although the PGA Tour this year has been, anything but boring.
Right.
There's been quite a few playoffs. But we wanted...
Yeah, first of all, just go to another headline. Let our resident news hound, Matt Harness, brag a little bit. The scoop he found out.
Well, after talking last week about Jordan Spieth, we wondered how much longer, or if he would play in the John Deere Classic, and what did he owe that tournament. We both agreed that he would play. We think he plays this year, and that's maybe it. Of course, John Deere Classic gave him a sponsor's exemption, and he goes on to win it. And so I reached out to Barry Cronin, friend, PR maven of many tournaments, including the John Deere Classic, and he did confirm to me last week that Jordan Spieth is in fact committed to the John Deere Classic. So that's,
you go. Not too much of a surprise that
no,
especially after he wins the Masters, he honors his commitment to go play at the RBC and figure, he's gonna keep doing what he planned to do before the season. So,
but it's great news for that tournament.
Great, great for the tournament.
They're going to get, I imagine, ticket sales will be better than ever.
Yeah, and it means, right.
And that part of the country doesn't see a guy like that come through. There's just no PGA Tour stops around there.
Right.
I wonder what the next closest PGA Tour stop is. You say Chicago,
come up to Lake Forest,
but it only comes every other year.
Well, I'm just saying this.
No, I know. So
that's probably
to have a Masters champion and a guy with that. Tiger Woods played in the John Deere Classic a few times, but that was still, much before he, became this, larger than life character. So I think it's great for the tournament. Claire Peterson, the tournament director, just does a great job. All the players that do go there love it. It's just their unfortunate spot in the schedule where you're in.
It's a tough spot.
Iowa, Illinois border, not near any major airport, and then you have the British Open the following week. But they do their best, as we mentioned, of providing players with private jets to get them over. So it's hard to get those big name guys that focus only on really major championships. But yeah, for one more year at least, John Deere Classic is.
And certainly within range of Chicago area fans, because we went down there last year for the media day, and it's not a bad trip at all.
No, and speaking of exciting young players, the LPGA is loaded with them. The number one player is Lydia Ko, 18 years old. She won when she was 15, I think. Some talk about someone needs to check a birth certificate.
Right.
But this past week, a South Korean golfer, Si Young Kim, and pardon me if I mispronounce that.
22-year-old rookie, right?
So she is from what I understand, winning the tournament, going to the 72nd hole.
Yes.
Dumps her ball into the water.
So that's weird. She's up a stroke, first of all. She hits her drive, and it looks like it went right down the middle of the fairway. I don't know if it was a miss club or if the pole was playing differently. I didn't watch the whole tournament, but so I'm watching this today. She hits it down the middle of the fairway, and it just runs like crazy. They're playing at the Lot Championship in Hawaii. I don't know what course it was, but so it runs all the way through the fairway and goes in the water. Her tee shot goes in the water.
Oh, okay.
So she's in the water in one. Third shot goes short left of the green, and
she chips in.
She chips in, right, to force a playoff.
To force the playoff. So then she gets to the playoff, and I'm sure you're looking up exactly what she did, but she holes out from the fairway to win.
So, yeah, her tee shot, same hole, they go back and they play the same thing. Remarkably, this time she must have picked a different club. She drives it right in the middle of the fairway, and it doesn't run the 50 yards into the water.
I'm not sure, does she have an aversion to putting, or
she
just figures, why not just make it now?
She almost rinsed that second shot in the playoff. It flew the water
It bounces
by a foot. Yeah. Bounces off the same spot that she had just chipped, and bounces twice in the cup. Playoff over. Done. That's the winner. That was kind of crazy to hole out your last two shots of a tournament.
Right. I mean, I don't. When was the last time somebody's last two shots didn't require a putt?
She did. Yeah. You're right. I have no clue. I've never heard anything.
Because usually, you end the hole by making a putt.
Right. Or you chip in to win, but you didn't hole out to get where you were. Who chipped in at the Masters? Larry Mize? Is that the guy who chipped in at the Masters to beat Greg Norman?
Sounds right.
All right. Well, so he won on a chip in, but you very, very rarely win on a stroke that wasn't hit with a putter.
Robert Gomez was famous for holing out. I want to say it was a tournament. This was back in the 90s, but the tournament a few weeks ago, one of the Florida swings, he holds out from the fairway to win. But that was ages ago. But yeah,
it just doesn't... You know what that is, Matt? It's greasy.
It's kind of greasy.
That is a greasy way to win.
Yeah. But it's pretty spectacular. Staying with the LPGA, Paula Creamer made some news by... saying she would like to see a Masters version for women.
Right.
And I know... So I think this was something that she maybe brought up last year. Didn't really get much traction.
She would want it to be played at Augusta.
Kind of went away. Right, to be played at Augusta National. Kind of went away. Then she brought it up again this year, and I think the reason she brought it up again this year was Augusta National is really starting to open itself up and be a little bit more friendly. They hosted this drive, chip, and putt national tournament for kids, I believe 7 all the way up to maybe 15 years old, several different age groups.
And they really advertised that hard during the tournament, I noticed.
Yeah, and it's about growing the game. So Paul Creamer brings this back up and says, well, if you want to grow the game, why not have the professional women play at Augusta National in a women's version of the Masters? And Chairman Billy Payne, gave it zero thought. He didn't even say, no, we're not doing it. He said, no, we're not even thinking about it.
He said, and the reason he gave was that Augusta National he says they already have a very short member season.
Well, I
know. I'm not saying the validity of what he's saying, but he said they spend a lot of time getting the course ready for the men's tournament, which if you played it like they did in 2014 at Pinehurst, where you played them in back-to-back weeks, you would think that there wouldn't be any additional prep time. I don't know what shape they feel like Augusta National is in when the guys are done on Sunday, whether they feel like they could then run it back for another week.
I don't think Augusta sets up quite like Pinehurst. And Pinehurst sort of had that earthy feel where they were okay, with
just this trotting it down another week or what.
Yeah, no, I think that golf course, Augusta's probably not the place where you can play consecutive weeks with those big galleries
and
stomping all over
the number
the place.
of people going, the number of golfers even, 100 or however many go through in a women's major.
Well, I would think that if it's some version of the men's Masters, the women's would be smaller fields. I think there were 98
smaller field,
players in the Masters. I'll tell you what, I don't don't know anything about the logistics of running a tournament, but I think it would be cool to see. However long it lasts, I would say that it would be pretty cool to have women's golf on that golf course.
Well, let me tell you how Billy Payne closed out his quote, and you can tell me if you think this will ever happen. I don't think that we would ever host another tournament.
I believe him.
It sounds pretty definitive. So,
right, I believe.
But no,
him.
I mean, last year at Pinehurst, keep going back to that because it's sort of a similar example. With Michelle, winning was like probably the best case scenario the LPGA could have possibly hoped for. You play at the course that the men just played, and you have one of your most recognizable stars win. So I have no doubt.
The ratings were the best for women's golf.
I have no doubt it would be a great thing for the LPGA. I doubt that it'll ever happen.
So, let's just go back. I mean, Augusta National was very adamant about not admitting women. Mm-hmm. However long ago that was, 15 years. They now have women members. So that they've showed at least an ability to, however long it takes them to change.
I don't think you're gonna push them.
That was their thing. They never want to be bullied.
We'll do it when we want to do it. Basically, they'll do it because they want to, not because you want them to.
Exactly.
And I don't think anyone's trying to bully them here. They're just bringing it up and saying, "Hey, wouldn't this be?" It hasn't reached a bullying stage.
I mean, Creamer's been pretty vocal about this. She said, "Well, if you're really interested in growing the game, why not include the women professionals?" Mm-hmm. So does this happen in 10 years? I don't think so.
No.
But
I would be interested to see it. I would like to see.
Well, you were telling you want them to play from 7,500 yards.
Well, I as a fan of train wrecks in general, when it comes to golf, I would like to see every player play the course at the most difficult, just to see how good it goes. I mean, I get a strange sense of enjoyment watching guys hack it up at the U.S. Open or watching guys try to play in windstorms at the British Open. So, I mean, why not? I would be curious to see what what Michelle Wie could shoot from the tips at Augusta National. I think, I would probably shoot 200. I don't know, but
well, I joked with you earlier this week or last week that I think the only way we're getting on playing Augusta National is if we forge some birth certificates.
Well, yeah, and I think
and play in this drive, chip, and putt.
Why can't there be a Chicagoland Media Masters where they set up a tournament for us golfers from the Chicagoland area media and we play out at Augusta?
I'm going to email Billy Payne right now.
We don't even have 100 people, so we easily could. I mean, it would be nothing.
I've often said that if I had a wish, you genie rub a bottle, and having it within reason. Of course I would like $1 billion to appear in my bank account, but to spend one day at Augusta National, they open up the door. You can drive in at 7 a.m. and they say, "Just be gone by 9 p.m."
Or your golf cart turns into a pumpkin.
That would be pretty incredible to.
Yeah, absolutely.
To play as much as I've seen it. I've been there several times, and you watch it on TV every year. But then to play it and recreate maybe some of these famous shots, maybe Tiger Woods' chip on the par 3 16th that ended up becoming a Nike commercial. Chipping that ball
into the bunker.
From behind,
which I would do.
Oh,
I would scull it over the green of the bunker, yes.
Or the water. Right. But, dropping a ball and trying to, make a double eagle like Gene Sarazen, again, hitting it in the water most likely. But, that golf course has so much history, it would be just fun to, there's nowhere else like it.
Yeah, certainly I would advocate for people getting more chances to play there because maybe someday that would reach down to me. So
now, if what you said is true, then they bring in some TV cameras for this day, and I'm sure that probably would be air on Comedy Central.
Yeah,
not the Golf Channel.
And so I just want to tease ahead to something next week while we're talking about women's golf here. We're talking to Nick Hardy in a few minutes here, but next week we've got it sort of tentatively set up, and we're planning on this happening. I talked to Stephanie Miller, an Illinois sophomore. She went to Stevenson, was a heck of a player at Stevenson, won the state title twice, I believe, the girls' golf state championship, and now is the best golfer on Illinois' team already as a sophomore. 13 rounds this spring, 74.9 scoring average, twice named Big Ten Golfer of the Week. So I'm pretty excited. I haven't talked to I covered Stephanie a little bit when she was in high school. I haven't talked to her since, so it'll be fun to talk to her.
Yeah, good to catch up. Keeping it with in-state golfers, and hopefully this becomes a recurring theme. We just want to go down the line, and we got an email today that maybe we'll talk to Chip Beck next week.
Yeah, Chip Beck, a Lake Forest resident.
Lake Forest resident, shot 59, went to the University of Georgia.
No one cares about Georgia.
Everybody cares about Georgia. So our hope every week is to have an interview with a player or a person involved in local golf. I mean, that's
because it gets boring just us talking to each other, and we do that all the time anyway. So always trying to have a guest, an interesting guest, and the women golfers there at the Big Ten Championships as well this week. Is that right?
Yes.
And then the NCAA tournament then will be the...
It's not the following week. It's first week in May, I believe.
Okay. So then
they get a little
break. They get a break. Yeah.
There have already been some conference tournaments being played. The SEC has already been played. Big Ten might be one of the last.
And once the SEC's played their conference, is there even any reason for anyone else to play?
Well, Alabama is I believe, two-time defending national champs. So that's, the college world revolves around, these southern states.
Of course. But why don't we get to our Nick Hardy interview? There's a couple things to mention about this interview. One is that Matt, has a day job where he doesn't only talk about golf. So he had other assignments when we recorded this podcast this interview on Monday, right? So we couldn't be in the same place. You'll notice a dip in the audio quality. Because we're on a conference call with Nick. Nick, of course, too busy to be back in the area. He's getting ready for the Big Ten Championships. And I'm not sure how the Champaign cell towers work, but my guess would be not very hard because the cell service leaves a bit to be desired. But we did our best, of course, again, this is going to be Nick Hardy, me and Matt with Nick Hardy. Stroke average of 73.5 in 15 spring rounds, 72.6 overall in 26 rounds his freshman season. So he's having a really great freshman year. I think Matt, is he fourth or fifth right in that area on the team? Yeah.
I mean, he's the starting lineup. I mean, that's really in golf. I mean, I don't think in college golf, I think you want to be that number one player just for that maybe special designation, but as long as you're in the lineup, you have just as good a chance to play well as the number one guy.
And especially for the number 3 ranked team in the country. I mean, it's pretty...
Oh, yeah, I would think that he probably is the number one player on more than half of the college teams, if not more.
Right.
So he, happens to be on one of the best teams, so he wants to be in there and contribute any way he can, and he is doing that.
Again, so Northbrook's Nick Hardy, Big Ten Championships begin Friday at Victoria National Golf Club in Newburgh, Indiana. Here's Nick.
Nick, how you doing? I'm great. How are you guys doing? Yeah, we're good. We finally decided that it's officially golf season because we got to play for the first time last week, so we're pretty excited. Yeah. Pretty good. Well, tell us, how's your first year of college been? Maybe golf as well as just being a college student. Well, yeah, it's been quite an experience so far. Coming in a program that's had a lot of success in recent years, and coming to a program with such a great coach and a coach that has built this program from basically nothing in the past 15 years. It's pretty special, and I've learned a lot lately just this past year, and playing with a lot of great teammates and accomplished players has really helped me, and I'm just trying to apply that to my game and to my play. Well, you mentioned the veterans on this team, guys that have been through a lot. Charlie Danielson, Thomas Dietrich, Brian Campbell. You're coming from Glenbrook North in high school where you were the top guy. What have you learned from those veterans? I mean, what sort of lessons have they taught you this year? Well, they all are very accomplished golfers, and I've kind of followed their leads all year. How the are.
So,
No,
see,
I'm still here.
we're losing you a little bit, Nick. And apologies for the audio. We weren't able to. Obviously, Nick's busy at U of I, so we're not able to have him in our studio, which is most commonly a bar or a driving range. But so if you hear if anything goes wrong here, it's because we're trying to conference call this. But sorry to interrupt.
So you talked about you learning better practice habits from those guys. Yes, definitely. I've learned how everyone can be different in their practice habits, and just seeing what they do and how focused they are in practice, and that carries over to their competition and how they play during competition, and definitely just how you compose yourself on the golf course too. That's been a big thing, and they've certainly helped me with things in my game too. They point out things, and they know more than me, and because they're just more experienced. So I just tried to take in some of their experience and learn from what they do in practice that helps them compete, and I tried to apply that to my game too. I mean, it's probably not a stretch to say that you have Illinois has the best best golfing coach. And what did you learn from Mike Small? I mean, is he the best player on that campus? I'm not sure. I can give him a run for his money sometimes. But so can my teammates. But he can come out and kick our butts any day of the week too. So it's kind of fun to have a coach that can compete with us. And there's not many coaches out there that can do that. And so it's fun to be able to. It just gives you that much more respect for him coming as a player too. And he's been there. He's done everything that we're trying to do right now. And winning a Big Ten championship to maybe turning pro in the future and playing competitively. And he's learned from his mistakes, and he's trying to help us not make the same mistakes he did when he was in our position. So just having his experience for what we're going through is incredible, and not many coaches can say they have that.
Nick, I'm curious, what's been the toughest part about adjusting to college golf?
Well, for me at least, there wasn't that much of an adjustment for me from just a living standpoint, but from the playing, the courses that I've been playing so far, they're difficult, but I play a lot of similar courses, but what I noticed so far the most is just the pin placements and the little details in each course that goes into it. Like, pin placements aren't in the middle of the greens like they were in high school golf. Like, you can't just, go out there and not worry. You really gotta focus about strong side of your golf ball and not missing on the weak sides, because the pins are only a few steps off from me to the green. So that's mainly what I've learned a lot so far. And just the transition, it's been different because of how I practice and how I prepare for tournaments, because it's definitely not the same because of where I come from. And I'm coming from playing the American Club a lot and practicing there, and now switching to different courses and trying to find new practice routines and see what I want to do in practice. And it's a little different, but I'm definitely adjusting to it fine now.
Well, yeah, you got that.
John has been talking to me about your match play win back in February, the 8-7 victory over the player from Michigan. I think that instantly put you in John's Hall of Fame. Was that one of them? Because I asked him, I thought that you beat somebody at the Western AM pretty decisively, and I looked it up, and it was a 6-4 win. Was that 8-7 win? Was that one of the more dominating performances on the golf course for you? And that,
yeah, it definitely was. I definitely got a little hot with my putter there. I managed to make 5 birdies in a row, I believe, and probably made about 150 feet of putts in that time.
Oh,
But
I don't think I've ever made a 150-foot putt in my life.
yeah, it was a fun match, and it was nice to be able to get over with her early and share the rest of my teammates, and we managed to come out with a victory there. So that was a pretty fun day.
Well, some of the things other than that, so where are you living? Is it an athletic dorm?
I'm living in the normal dorms, but I'm living with just the regular coach put us in the regular dorms with normal other college students. He's always done it in the past with all his players. We don't get any special. He just wants us to do the same. You know, he doesn't want to get any privileges. Coach is more like the blue collar guy, and he wants us to, you know, do this to be a normal college student too. So we're with all the other college students, but we live on the first floor of our college dorm, and that has other tennis players, and it's us golfers too. So it's nice to be able to be around other athletes too, and because we have the same, you know, schedules as them too. So yeah, it's just the normal dorms.
What about school? I mean, are you adjusting to just college life as a student and as just a regular freshman? Well, what any fun things you do outside of golf, or is golf just all consuming?
Well, golf definitely consumes a lot of the day, but also I have to go to classes in the morning, and then I have to be able to get my study hours in at night too. So I have to get in 8 hours of study hours a week. So that really consumes basically all my time during the day. So I'm pretty busy as it is. So there's not much I'm a part of outside of golf and school. So that's basically my lifestyle right now. But
that's not much different than what it was like in high school, maybe, right?
No, it wasn't. Actually, that's why the transition for me wasn't that hard. It's because I go to school all day instead of now I just go through the morning. And school just took up a lot more time, but I basically just went to school and golf, you know, and then school again at night sometimes and had homework. So basically I was already used to the adjustment. I felt like I was already in college and high school, so it didn't really feel like much of a change.
Matt, of course, wants to know what the best late night. Well, Matt, of course, wants to know what the best late night eating spot is in Champaign.
Yeah, I really like the pizza place. It's on Green Street. I'm forgetting the name right now, but there's a couple other good barbecue places.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Oh, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of my language.
I went to the football state championship game this year down in Champaign, and we tried to go to this barbecue place, but it was packed. I mean, you couldn't even get inside the door. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me right now. But I was curious, is the practice facility? I talked with Mike Small during the week of the Western End because of all the Illinois, players that were at Beverly. Is that practice facility done?
Yeah, the practice facility is done, but the grass is still. We have to reseed it again this spring, so hopefully we'll be on it. We'll be able to play on it in probably 2 weeks, maybe, hopefully, and it's starting to really look good though. It's getting greener by the day, so it's almost ready. Yeah, it was all finished last fall, but we're just waiting for the grass to grow now.
I mean, you're really lucky being a freshman. From what I'm told, that's going to be one of the best facilities in the country. I mean, to have access to that is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's just the men's and women's golf team too. It's a private facility, and we get full run of it too. And we the whole program just basically takes care of it too. So it's going to be how we want it, and we get to use it all when we want it. So it's going to be pretty special, and I'm really excited for it because it's the design is kind of like Augusta's practice facility, and it's 25 acres, and it's pure golf. You can hit any shot you want, anywhere you want, any wind. It's off different lines and stuff. So any golf shot you see on the course, you're going to see it there. So it's going to be pretty special.
Well, Nick, jump topics real quick here. This is something Matt and I have been debating for the last couple of days. I don't know if you saw Jim Furyk won at Hilton Head last weekend after going 100 starts without a win. I know you've had your share of your wins and a couple of close losses as well. But he had an interesting quote. He said, I don't know if you heard this, but I was starting to feel like this game is beating me up, and the losing hurts a lot more than winning feels good. What do you think of that quote? Do you agree with him?
Well, I mean, it's as close as Jim Furyk has come to winning in the past 5 years and not being able to break through. I could see how you could say that, but I think the taste of victory is all worth the amount of losses you lose, because that's why you come back and fight even more to get that taste of victory and then do it again and again and again. So, I mean, I could see why he says that, because he's been so close for those 5 years, but I definitely think that the taste of victory is greater than any loss.
I'm glad you said that.
Matt did not like that quote.
To me, it just made it seem like he's not having any fun. And,
right.
He will be happy. That should be, like you said, I mean, that's the ultimate goal. When you do win, you should feel the most satisfaction. But I'm not doing that. I mean, we'd be foolish not to at least ask, what do you think of Jordan Spieth? I know you probably grew up admiring Tiger Woods. I mean, the Jordan Spieth guy is looking pretty darn good himself.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's incredibly mature, and he handles himself so well out there. He's well beyond his years. I mean, I just can't believe that he's only not even 3 years older than me. It's just incredible, the things that he's done already, especially kid. I mean, I hope I'm competing against him one day. So,
well, Jordan played some.
For sure.
He played some amateur golf in the Chicagoland area when he was coming up. Nick, do you know what your schedule looks like this summer? I mean, any of the big tournaments you're going to hit on the amateur circuit?
Yeah, I'm actually playing the Sunny Island Amateur. That's in Pennsylvania in June, and then back-to-back weeks I'm playing the Northeast Amateur, and then hopefully I'm definitely going to play in the State Amateur again, and then hopefully the Illinois Open. I'm hoping I can get a qualifier date to do that, because I got to qualify for that, but I'm hoping I'm going to play in that. And then the Western Amateur again, and hopefully the USAM if I qualify.
Well, you had played your first tournament of the year at Olympia Fields.
Right, yeah. So you have some.
Yeah, right. So if you get in there, I mean, you have some familiarity with that golf course.
Definitely, yeah. It'd be special playing the amateur basically at home. So
it'll be warmer too. Wasn't that tournament at the beginning of the season cold?
It was brutal. It was probably 45 degrees and raining a lot. So the course will definitely play a lot differently than it did then. I'm sure that has the rough much higher and firmer greens. So I'd like to be able to see it.
Well, we finish back. I mean, this is sort of the home stretch of the golf season with the Big Ten Championships this week at Victoria National Golf Club in Newburgh, Indiana. I didn't say I have no idea where that is. But what's the state of your game going into the conference tournament and then the NCAA?
My game, I've actually been a little frustrated with it this spring. I didn't come out of winter as sharp as I'd like, but it's tough, as you guys can know. But I'm starting to feel better. I feel good about my swing, and I'm confident again. And I'm looking to string together some good rounds. And we really want to finish off that ring. We want to finish off our season strong too, so start postseason first now, and just got to help my team get that ring.
Now, do you like the format? I know it's been this way for a few years now, but the format of match play, when you do advance, I believe, to the quarterfinals, do you think that it gives your Illinois an advantage?
I really do think it gives us an advantage. I think we're strong. We're we're a team that fights, and I definitely think we can claw our way into the top 8, and then I think it's just survival of the fittest in match play. And so I really do think that fits our team well. We go 5 deep, and I know that we can compete against any team out there. So, and all our games are starting to come together at the right time. And Coach always preaches that to us. He says that we always, our games always climax at the right time every year, and we're hoping to do that this year again. And I really do think we've got a good shot at that. With that match play finish, I really do think that gives us the best shot too.
All right, Nick. Well, yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, I just want to say, Nick, we know you're busy. Thanks for taking the time, and best of luck, this weekend and going forward. I suppose, if you go ahead and win the Big Ten and then the NCAA championship, we'll probably have to have you on again.
That's great. Thanks, guys. I really enjoyed it. All right, Nick. Hey, we'll talk to you later. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Nick.
All
Have a good
right,
night. Thanks.
All right.
Okay, that's Nick Hardy. Matt, I think it's proof that you probably spent too much time with him during his high school days that we asked him for a restaurant and he gives you a barbecue place.
Yeah, which I tried to go to one time. What did you looked it up? It's
Black Dog Smoke and Ale House. We think Nick can't remember the name. Matt never actually went.
It was
We're
too busy.
guessing that's.
It's busy, so if you're down there, give it a try. But yeah, we want to thank Nick for taking the time out of his busy schedule to talk to us.
Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap up episode 7 all-time, second of this season of the Teeing Off podcast. Remember, next week, we're trying to do this every Friday, try to get Stephanie Miller, the Illinois women's golf team. Stephanie Miller should be on next week, and if not, we'll just have another batch of golf highlights. In the meantime, if you want to hear anything different from the podcast, you got any headline suggestions, you want to pass ideas, Twitter, we're on Twitter at teeing__off. That's at teeing__off. Matt is at Harness Preps, and I am at John, JOHN _Borneman, BORNEMAN. Until next time.
So we're trapped inside this house in a knockdown and drag it out. And these window panes, they're a prison cage. And I'm trying hard to recall the jump I saw at the outset. Oh, a peaks on a wave and a storm is coming. We need to be safe, God, please send us something. Damned if this ain't gonna change my mind about falling in love for another time. And it's all that I have to remember you by. But the end of the love's not the end of the line. If it's saccharine you want, it's the sweetest straight talk. I wish you were as sharp in the